Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Boise State football wide receiver Ben Ford. I've had to face some setbacks on the field this past season, but toughness isn't about staying down. It's about getting back up. I am proud to represent Lithia Ford of Boise, where you can find the largest selection of Ford trucks that are built tough and, like me, handle the hits and keep pushing forward. Come check out the incredible inventory and competitive pricing at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're not just getting a truck, you're supporting Boise State athletics and Lithia Ford NIL partnerships. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
The final buzzer is sounded on another night of Mountain West basketball, and it's time to break down the action with Tom Moser on another night in the Mountain West, presented by Circa Sports. Headed to Las Vegas for the Mountain West tournament in March? Make sure to stay at Circa Las Vegas and watch all the action at Stadium Swim, where the sports are on 365 days a year. Another night in the Mountain West has interviews, analysis, opinions after the final Mountain West basketball game of the day wraps up. All BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is Lithia Ford of Boise. Check out our full inventory of vehicles online at lithiafordboise.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Did your team just get a big win? Suffer a bad loss? Come discuss it with us. Send us a comment or question in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/BNN. Now let's go to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join Tom Moser for another night in the Mountain West on Bronco Nation News.
What's up, everybody? You are in a different Sun Cruiser studio tonight. We're doing a location shoot. So I'm in a business center, if you will, here. So maybe a little bit of an echo. I don't know. Hopefully you can hear the audio's all right. And maybe the lighting's not as sharp. Try to get it as good as I could get it. Don't have the banner, but I don't have the background lighting. I have the microphone, the webcam. I think the rest of it's good to go. Most importantly, you have me and my opinions on what we just watched for the last 12 hours of Mountain West hoops. So hopefully you guys that were there all day watching are in here now. Plenty to talk about, as is always the case. I'm going to go in reverse order. So if you're just here for the commentary on the early game, you got to stick around a little bit because we're going to go over the late games first. One thing I did bring with me, though, is the Sun Cruiser. Okay, never leave home without it. And a buddy of mine, I know he's watching because he was up all day. He texted me before tip-off in Albuquerque with a video, with a picture of a Sun Cruiser, and just texted me about 30 minutes ago about Pastner trying to play guys 40 minutes. So, Danny, here's the U captain. Thanks for supporting and getting your Sun Cruiser. And if you guys could all support also by subscribing to the show down there at the bottom at Mountain West BNN, that would be appreciated. Okay, let's talk about what we saw. As I guess for me, here we're into March already, right? It's now March 1st. And we got 1 week left in the regular season. Few play games left, 2 sets. That's it. So 18 of 20 league games are in the books for everybody. Certainly things have become much more clear after today. And so let's talk about where we stand. Let's go in reverse order. I'll be honest, as much as I love watching action and more action and more action, I was not looking forward to another overtime, right? I just wanted to get the show going. It's been a long day. Like I said, obviously I'm on location here. I tweeted out earlier today to start that I was going to have to go circa 1998 with the recording the game and not watching it live. I don't like watching games when I know the result. So I kind of shut off communication and then watch it as if, because I don't know the score. And I actually wasn't too far behind, but we took the little one skiing for the first time this morning. And because it was the last weekend or whatever, we literally stood in line for 2 hours to get skis and boots and helmets and all that crap. And so by the time we got an hour late for our lesson, then I couldn't get out of there in time to watch the game live. And so I was tape delayed. But anyway, so it's been a long day, driving 2 hours, skiing, waiting in line for 2 hours. That was not fun. And then I just wanted the game, as great as watching Gibbs Lawhorn and Weems go back and forth was, I did not want a second overtime, especially once Gibbs Lawhorn and Price had fouled out, because then it just becomes a contest of attrition, right? Who's got the deeper bench. Weems was still in, but I don't need to see half the backups in if we're going to start playing extra minutes. They both blew opportunities to win it in regulation and then again in overtime. So that's it. It's when I first started as a JV coach when I was 21, and you play before the varsity, right? And as a JV coach, you care about your JV games, right? They're life and death for you because you're a new coach. You're the head coach. It's great, right? But the varsity, they don't give a damn about the JVs, okay? And so as a player or as a coach, you're out there watching your JV game. The absolute last thing you want to do is for that game to go overtime. You want to freaking go play. You don't care about no JV game going overtime, right? And so when I had a couple of those go overtime and I'm trying to coach my ass off to extend the game or to try and come back and win a game, I used to think it was the greatest thing. And then, my coach would tell me one time, these overtimes in JV, I don't know. And then by the time I was a varsity coach, I used to tell the JV guys, look, you're allowed one overtime and that's it. Once it gets past that, no dice. I don't care if you have to foul with 5 seconds left. I don't care what you do. We're not playing double overtime today, right? And I kind of felt like that tonight, which I feel bad about because it was a great game. And let's give credit to the Vegas fans. We ripped them a lot for not having a home court advantage. They showed up today. I even had people telling me, you always say there's no fans there in Vegas. They had a huge crowd tonight. They did. It was a big rivalry game. They showed up. They may have a slight impact, but they saw a good game. So let's look at the stats here. As I said, Gibbs Lawhorn just absolutely bonkers out of his mind. And I'll get to the comments in a minute because I see several of them about Gibbs Lawhorn. So we see the final 85-83. I'd seen, let's see here. What do we got? So Rebels shoot 50%. Nevada only shoots 43%. Efficient from the 3, 7 for 14. They, both missed 10 free throws. Wolfpack took a few more. Turnovers fairly even. Rebounds edge to the Rebels. Bench. I mean, look at the bench. How many more guys Alford played than Passner. I know a couple of those guys at the bottom there only had a few minutes, but yeah, I mean, 42 minutes for Gibbs Lawhorn, 42 minutes for Fleming, 43 minutes for Walter Brown. I mean, my goodness, 34 for Benarby. Benarby and Brown at points in December, those guys were getting 5 minutes a game, and now they're getting 30, 34, and 42 minutes. Are you kidding me? He totally bagged Al Green 1 minute tonight. Isaac Williamson, 8 minutes. So credit Passner for going 6 guys. He didn't even play Stephen at all. And he did that with 3 guys fouling out. So he gave Al Green a minute because he had 3 guys foul out, because Gibbs Lawhorn, look, he played 42 minutes. I'm not going to get on him for his propensity to foul, right? He's been absolutely ridiculous scoring the basketball, okay? 2 assists, 3 turnovers in 42 minutes. He'd like to have another assist or 2, but he scores all the time. So, I mean, he had half their points, 42. 8 of 14 from 3. It's just ridiculous. 4 rebounds. Now, Hamilton, again, it's like a joke. Like, everybody that watches this team play realizes that he is one of the lowest IQ basketball players you've ever seen. Like, I hate to say that, but it's fact, okay? And the announcers, like, they kind of beat around that bush without saying it directly, but the man has fouled out of 12 games this year now. 12. And like Pastner says the other day, this is the worst defensive team I've ever coached. And obviously a lot of that falls on him. He's the head coach. Some of that is him trying to get that message across to some of his guys like Hamilton, who I don't know what goes on in practice, but you don't rise to the levels that Pastner has without having some type of clue how to coach defense. Now, I've given the guy crap for things. We all know that, right? But man, like, he's got to have some clue. Like, and he can identify when somebody's not doing the right thing defensively, okay? And one of those things is fouling too much. And Hamilton, he's fouled out of half of their games. So at some point, like, I know that Pastner, one of the assistants, is saying, like, dude, like, let's take better angles. Let's not gamble. Let's not reach, slap, whatever it might be. And he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. So it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's a shame too, because he's got ability, but he can't do it at this level. He cannot do it at this level. So, but Jones obviously was now Benarby with 15, probably 15-6. That's a career game for that guy. But the obvious other X factor was Tyron Jones. He's just a freak out there. He fills a stat sheet up, 5 rebounds, several blocks, 12 points. And he just impacts the game. He just does. On the other side of the coin, let me get these off here, and then I'll kind of – I never put them on the screen. Okay. Man, I'm out of it. Okay. Weems with 30. Now, it's funny. To start the year, when teams bring in new guys, I don't know who all these guys are, right? And I'm trying to distinguish between Camper and Comer. Like, they're similar guys. Who's better? Who does this? Who does this? And I thought the same thing with, like, Weems and Lowry. They're non-D1 guys. One was an NAIA. One was like a JUCO guy. They're kind of similar in terms of, like, size and ability. And I wasn't really sure which guy was more valuable or what they did. And now, like, Weems is a dude. Like, this is back-to-back games where he's put up monster numbers. He had 30 and 9 tonight. I mean, outstanding basketball in 31 minutes. He was in a little bit of foul trouble, or he would have played more. Like, 10 out of 13 from the floor, 2 out of 2 from 3. Not bad, dude. Now, Camper really killed him tonight. If they get a game from Camper, they win. They didn't, and so they lose, right? He goes 2 out of 12, only scores 5 points. He does have 5 assists and 4 rebounds, but in 43 minutes, for a guy who I've been touting and many others as a first-team all-league guy, you need more than 5 points. Now, Price was good. He had 10 points, 5 boards. He fouled out too. Comer was much better than he's been recently, 15 points, 3 rebounds, couple of assists. Although he did shoot 3 for 12, that's not super efficient either. TR was pretty solid. I will give him that. 9 points in 23 minutes. Made a couple of big shots late. Lowry, 29 minutes, 8 points. But, they shot 7 out of 14 from 3. Like, that's great. They're not shooting a lot of them. They were pretty efficient from back there. I don't know, like, what happened here, right? Like, why, where it went off the rails. I think you're going up against a guy who's on an absolute heater, and there's very little that you can do, right? Now, I mean, he threw up a couple bricks late when he was on heat check watch, but it's like, man, there's times when Alford tried to get the ball out of his hands and run somebody at him to double team him. But, are you going to do that at half court, right? And so if you don't, well, Gibbs Lawhorn's going to run into one, and that's what he did a few times tonight. And he's taking shots that it's like you just got to tip your cap to the guy when he makes them. They're tough shots, and it happens sometimes when you play basketball, right? You don't expect the guy to go for 42. You just don't. I think they showed early in the game tonight, so I'm going to assume that wasn't counting this game, that over the last 8 games, he was averaging 28 plus per game. So now let's add another game to that. 9 games, he's over 30 points a game over a 9-game stretch. That's 1/3 of your season. You're scoring 30 points, and that's in league play against good teams. Okay. There may be like 1 or 2 games in there at most against Air Force and San Jose State. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. At most, I guess. And I don't even know because I think they front loaded with those teams. So he's playing like legit teams here. Okay. So to average over 30 points over a 9-game stretch is damn impressive. And I see a lot of comments in here now. Braden, who's an Aggie fan, got to give Dre the nod for Player of the Year with 2 games left. And he says, as a Utah State fan, I feel that's what happens. I'll cycle through these. Spencer, another Utah State fan, Gibbs Lawhorn is absolutely nuts. As a Utah State fan, I was hoping for a 3 OT game. Hope they party all night long in Vegas. Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a little bit, Spencer. Not recency bias. Gibbs Lawhorn is and has been the best player in the conference this year. UNLV is a bottom 2 or 3 team without him. Should probably win Player of the Year. And you know what? Like, here's the thing, right? Nathan says, I think the Player of the Year has to come from a top 4 team that receives a bye in the tournament. So I would say, Nathan, I would normally agree with you. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else on that. I don't think there is. I am Stein. Well, I was up there today, Steinbauer. My family lives in Allentown, so I'm in the Lehigh Valley, which is about 40 minutes from the Poconos. We were up skiing in the Poconos today, yes. Sick, DGL pushing false left Player of the Year. Like, I didn't look at the numbers yet from that game, but Falslev did not stick out tonight, okay? Maybe not, and I don't just mean on the stat sheet, because other nights that he doesn't stick out on the stat sheet, I think he does other stuff. I'm not saying he didn't do other stuff tonight, but I didn't really notice it as much, okay? And so when I say, appreciate that, Ruben, I was worried that it would sound like crap, or I know it's a little dark, but okay. So Spencer thinks Falslev is more hurt than being led on, maybe from when he got, what was that, tripped by, I can't even remember anymore, but I'm sure one of you guys will point it out. But anyway, it did sound like a good atmosphere there. So what was I saying here about? So normally, because somebody had a comment there about it should come from a top 4 team. Okay. Normally, I would 100% agree with you, unless, right, it is. Yeah, I hate to say it, Sick. He's going to have suitors come calling. So I don't see how he's back there with this heater that he's on. But somebody has to do something special to come from outside the top 4. Well, guess what? Like, he's doing something special right now. So 9 games is half of the conference season right now, and he's averaging over 30 a game. And yes, if he's not there, they're better than Air Force and San Jose State. I don't know who else they're better than. I really don't. So, let me just quick look. I'm not going to put it on yet because I'm not done with this game. Falslev tonight, 11. He did have 9 rebounds and 4 assists. 11, 9, and 4, that's not too shabby. He has been the best player on the best team, but Gibbs Lawhorn has been the best player. And he will get votes. Now, we have 2 games left, and UNLV has a game in Viejas, right? And so they play the top 2 teams, 2 of the top 3 teams left. Okay, we have to include those 3 now, right after today. So the 3 teams at the top, their last 2 games are against the top 2 teams. So if he goes out and scores 30, averages 30 over the next 2 games, or even like 27 over the next 2 games, they probably need to win one of the 2. But if they win one of the 2 and he goes off again, he probably wins it. Okay. If they go 0-2 and he tails off a little bit, and Utah State goes 2-0, and Falslev has a really good game and a signature moment, something like that, it probably goes to Falslev. It makes for some interesting talk. Okay. Both players have a case. And obviously Gibbs Lawhorn is like the closer, right? Like he's freaking closing fast because this is ridiculous. Like I remember a few years ago when they had Harkless was on a heater in the second half of the year. That's like nothing compared to this. This is like a joke, okay? So it's absolutely he's out of his mind. And so great job by UNLV. Disappointing for Nevada. I mean, look, you have to credit UNLV here. You do. This is what they can be when they show up and play. And I mean, my goodness, they did it with 6 guys tonight. So, like, credit to Pastner for rallying the troops. You know, he calls them out. Worst defensive team I've ever had. You know, they get beat the other night or whatever. And now, like, they show up with a good effort, maybe pushed on by the crowd for sure, right? And they look good. They look good because Nevada came at them. Nevada's been played better last week and played well for a week and a half. And it's a rivalry game. You know, it meant a lot to Alford, and they played well. Camper not so much, but the rest of the guys. So props to the Rebels. All right, good job. Let's see if you can get one more here. I mean, it's not going to be easy. You know, the Aggies will be out for revenge. You go to Viejas. So you're going to be sizable underdogs in both. But look, you've shown that you can play up at times this year. So there you go. As far as Nevada, obviously they got helped out with the game I'm going to talk about next with GCU falling. The problem is now they both play Air Force, but GCU has Fresno in Air Force. And let me just look quick because I got too many things in my head. Nevada has, at Wyoming. So Nevada's going to have to win at Wyoming if they want to, in all likelihood, keep that bye, the bye on next Wednesday in 2 weeks, right? Because it was difficult to get information on it, and I'll get to the game later. But one tweet I did find said that Collins is out with a calf injury for tonight and that the Bulldogs hope to have him back for the conference tournament. So that probably means that you're not going to see him next week. Like, why risk him over the next week when those games don't mean as much when everything for them rests on the conference tournament? So it's disappointing because, again, they're so different without him at full strength, or they're so different without him playing, right? But if he's not at full strength, there's no use in trying to run him out there, and and he could further get beat up and then not be able to play at all in a conference tournament. Maybe he won't even be able to play, but at least you give yourself a shot, okay? And if that's the case, I can't see GCU losing, and I believe it's at home too. I'm peeking over here to my other screen. Yeah, they're at home against Fresno. I can't see them losing at home to a Collins-less Fresno team, right? And then their other games, Air Force. So GCU will finish with, 7 losses. Now, Nevada, with 7, has a tiebreaker, beating GCU once with that crazy finish 5-6 weeks ago. They'll beat Air Force the last game, but they need to win at Wyoming. And, I know Wyoming, we'll talk about that briefly. Wyoming probably didn't look great today, but that does not mean a damn thing come next week. Okay, it's a new game. It's 0-0. It's at Wyoming. So they'll be far more ready to play today, next Tuesday, I guess it is, right? Tuesday, than they were today. Okay. And if Nevada's not ready to play, they're feeling sorry for themselves because they lost at a rival. They're kind of going through the motions. They're going to find themselves playing next Wednesday instead of next Thursday. Okay. So let's get to that game because, what a tale of two halves this game was. The Aggies were on fire, and I missed the first few minutes because of being at my mom's. I did not have the normal viewing setup that I had. And so I couldn't go to the other avenues to get the game on that I would had I been at home. So I had to wait for that freaking UCF Baylor game to end. I'm watching the play-by-play, and I see them making every 3 they're taking, okay? And that's great. It's good zone offense. You're making a lot of 3s, right? It knocked Drew out of the zone. He goes, man. They're torching the man. Like I said, Drake Allen, not 1, but 2 highlight dunks, right? He blows by the guy to the right, 2-handed stuff. He blows by the guy to the left, like a one-handed, off-handed dunk. I mean, wild, right? He got the booster juice in the first half, and the Aggies did as a whole. And, the only reason it was only a 14-point game is because the Lopes threw some shots in down towards the back end of the half. Otherwise, it would have been a complete runaway. But then you go to the half. We saw it a week and a half ago in Viejas. Drew, great adjustments. Not saying that Calhoun didn't, but you could just tell from the moment that the second half started, like 2 possessions. I sent freaking 2 tweets out within 5 minutes. I could just tell. And maybe it was a little dip by the Aggies, but it was huge credit to Grand Canyon, okay? They were more assertive, more aggressive, started attacking the rim. They were playing with a purpose on both ends of the floor. I thought Calhoun needed to use a timeout like 3 minutes in. He didn't. They gave up another bucket, and I was like, timeout, dude. Didn't call it. And then he got bailed out because GCU had a dead ball turnover that went out of bounds right underneath the 16-minute mark, so he got his timeout anyway. I think it was like an 8 or 10-point game at that point. So they hadn't really sliced too much off of the deficit, but you could just tell that things were shifting, right? And then they come back from the timeout, and 2 more minutes of like, that timeout didn't fix anything for us if we're Utah State. And then it was down to like 5, and that's when I tweeted out again, like, Utah State better be careful here, because I did not like the way it was going, right? And, then you're talking like, all right, if this game goes wrong on us, we're really in trouble for like as far as the tournament goes. Okay, now I'll talk about that a little bit later, but the last thing they wanted to do was drop this game for their 3rd in a row. Okay, and for crying out loud, GCU tied the game, and then they ended up taking a lead late. So, I mean, massive credit to GCU, okay, for getting completely outplayed in the first half and then outplaying Utah State in the Spectrum in the second half. Not easy to do, although we did see UNLV follow this formula to win in the Spectrum, and Utah State didn't close well against Nevada either a week ago. Let me pull these up here quickly and look at them. Again, I was watching the other game, so I didn't really focus too much on it. They both shoot mid to high 40s. Utah State shoots 11 for 23 from 3. I mean, that's pretty good. 11 of 19, not super from the foul line. They only turn it over 6 times. I mean, now you shouldn't turn it over a lot against the zone. I get that. The Lopes did out-rebound them 35-27. That's been an issue now 3 games in a row for Utah State against Nevada, San Diego State, and now here. Not super moving forward. I thought their defense was okay. It was pretty good in the first half, actually. I don't think it was super in the second half. All right. Let me pull these off and just I don't want to keep that on the screen. I'm going to look at a couple things here. Let me see what the second. No, I'm not going to stagger it. I was going to look at points per possession in the second half because I think GCU really kind of lit it up there. The scoring, Templin had 15. I did want to say too, like, look, Templin had 15, but when things are snowballing against you, if you're Utah State, too many possessions, and I look, I love Templin, and I love Templin for what he is, okay? He is not and should not be like your number 1 or even your number 2 option. And when things were starting to get a little sketchy there for the Aggies, there were too many possessions, and by too many, I mean like 2 or 3, and that's too many, where he ended up being like the option, and we'll go to him, and it was like, really? And no, now he did make a 3 late, and whatever, but I don't know. Like, that shouldn't be your number 1 or number 2 option, right? You got 2 all-conference players in Falslev and Collins, and Allen was on a heater tonight, right? So, like, why are we going to Falslev as our number 1 option? Is Grand Canyon's defense that good? Are we tired? Like, what's the deal here, right? I mean, Allen 27 minutes, Collins 31, Falslev 34, so they played a high amount of minutes, but I don't know. El Amin, a literal 0 tonight, scored as many as all of us in the chat in watching. Perryman 7, he was pretty solid. I thought King had a good game, did some non-box score stuff along with scoring 8 points. Nothing from Clark. Williams got his 19. Henley got his 22. They took half of their shots. Actually, they took 31 of the Lopes' 53 shots, those 2 guys. Guys like Moore and Owusu Anane, they kind of get lost in all the action. They get no bench points, which is a shame. But 30-6 was the bench points. I mean, difficult to win games on the road like that. But, I mean, look, full credit. Collins made the big three late, right? Like, that was a massive shot for Utah State because things were – like, GCU was playing with confidence. Henley made some really nice plays late, and they got extra possessions on rebounds. So they got lucky. They dodged a bullet there. Did not play good second half. I mentioned it earlier, but that's 3 times now that this followed that formula, right? I'm not counting a San Diego State game, but Nevada and UNLV, which was a ways back, but Nevada recently, now tonight, not super in the second half, right? Not super. Let me get to some of these. Nate says the conference tournament is going to be interesting and chaotic. 100%. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Anything could happen. Obviously, I'll make some picks and see what I think there. But Nick, we'll get to the Lobos in a little bit for sure. Today, Spencer thinks really good day of Mountain West hoops. It was, and I didn't even the 2 games that I didn't watch seemed to be pretty good too. Jordan, you saw me tweet. I didn't mention in that Nevada game. What on earth are those guys doing? Like, were they being observed by Amy Bonner and they were like, she was there, like grading them at halftime because their insistence on going to the monitor for those freaking reviews, like, drug the game out by an extra half hour. The game started at the same time as the Utah State game. Now, I know it went overtime, but even before that, it was 25 minutes later. 25 minutes later. Because that one freaking guy needed to go to the monitor like 50 times. Like, what on earth are you doing, dude? Stop. Nobody wants to see you. And I'll get to the monitor and replays, obviously, with the San Diego State-New Mexico game in about 10 minutes. Clearly, I will get to that, okay? And I've said I had my thoughts on this before. I don't know about on the live shows, certainly on my pods, okay? Let's see. We'll get to that later. Yeah, that game was a good game. It was a very good game. There's no doubt. I am on the road, Brendan. Yes. Yeah, Gibbs Lawhorn, he's unconscious. I am here, Steinbauer. So are you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we talked about that. Let's see what else is here. Eric, which game had the best and worst officiating? I mean, by default, I guess like Utah State. Well, Boise Fresno had the best. How about that? Okay. I didn't see the 2 early games after the New Mexico game, so I'm sure those games had good officiating. I don't know. If it wasn't for the monitor reviews, I didn't notice the officials that much in the Nevada UNLV game. It's just that they needed to go to the monitor all the time. Like they didn't do a poor job with the whistles. UNLV fouls every other possession, so you got to call a lot of fouls in their games. It just is what it is, right? What else is on here? Nadine says you appreciate my honesty about teams and players. Thanks, Nadine. I appreciate that. That's why I'm here. Not everybody might like it, but yeah, that's funny, Braden. Yeah, the unbalanced schedule did not work out for winning the conference title for teams at the top. It helped your profile, your strength of schedule, etc. But New Mexico had a little bit of an edge there over Utah State and San Diego State for sure. What else is on here? They pulled, Spencer. They did that on purpose, who they drew to play who, and that's sick. That's the point. Yeah, that's why some fans of certain teams don't mind that that's their schedule because it doesn't help you, right? You don't get anything by beating it. Jordan, they may rename it UNDGLV. I mean, that possible. If he stays another year, they might, but I wouldn't expect that to happen. So we'll see. So that could be a fair point, Chubb, that he kept a level head when other guys got a little wonky or started to panic when things. Yeah, Larry, we did see it. And I don't know, like, it's funny enough, that was the year that San Diego State went to the national championship game, but they didn't have a Jaden Ledee that year, right? Like they had an ensemble cast, as you would call it, right? Where like everybody's equal almost, and you don't have a standout. Like they had good players that year, but they didn't have anybody standing out head and shoulders above other teams. And New Mexico, I think, was below San Jose State that year. Nevada had Lucas and Blackshear, but that was like their first year there, so they wouldn't have been up there. And then the 2 and 3 seeds, I think, would have been Utah State with Odoms last year. And I don't know who the 3 seed would have been. Would it have been? I mean, I'm losing whatever, but that's why Moore got it that year. First of all, he got it because San Jose State played in the 4-5 game, for crying out loud, and got a bye in the first round. Like, that never happens at San Jose State. So Moore probably did deserve it, but I think it was also a case that maybe nobody else did. I'd have to go back and see who was runner up and who Utah. Maybe it could have been who was Ashworth. Maybe maybe was Utah State's best player that year. Vinny thinks that Dre's a player of the year. He certainly could be. And Vinny doesn't care if they're the 7 seed. He deserves it. It's possible, okay? 6, never seen a guy cook against Boise like DGL. Yeah, and including – I know. He's absolutely on a heater. And yeah, no, so here's the thing. Nobody should want to run into UNLV on a one-game basis, okay? I still am skeptical. I do not think I will, Larry, 100%. I will. I still don't think they're going to be able to do it for 4 straight games because they're going to have to play on Wednesday. And not only that, but they're not going to get Air Force on Thursday. And I don't even think they're going to get a half-rostered San Jose State team. They're probably going to get Fresno. And if Collins is out, sure, that's a little bit easier. But if they get a Collins-led Fresno or Wyoming or Boise or whoever it is, like, they're going to have to go to battle 4 straight days. I don't think they can do that. They can win 1. They can probably win 2. But at some point, Gibbs Lawhorn's legs are going to go when he's playing 38 minutes 3 days in a row, right? Like, that would be the ultimate if that would happen, okay? So, Vinny, I'll talk about the standings and the tiebreakers in a minute. All right, so let me get to, and I know there's other comments I didn't get to yet, and I'll get to those in a minute. Let me get to some of the other games because we're already 35 minutes in, and I didn't even talk about the game from this afternoon. So 3 minutes here on the 3 games in the middle of the day that had like less pizzazz and only got the Mountain West Network feeds. Boise 69-53. I did watch much of this game actually on the Mountain West Network, and again, Collins gone. I'm not surprised at the result. Limited potential for offense for the Bulldogs without Collins in the lineup. It just is what it is. I know he doesn't score 16 a game, but he's responsible for 20-plus points with his passing, with the fact that he sets guys up. He gets plenty of assists. He also gets a secondary hockey assists that don't show up on a stat sheet, and he makes you guard him and everybody else, and you have to stay honest because he's so quick and he's got the ball on a string. So without him, this was a Leon Rice masterpiece. Leon's not going to say it, but he's probably like in the locker room, like, thank God, like they're not going to score 70 tonight. Like they didn't even get to 55 tonight. So they shoot 41%. Now Highbrighter was off. He was 1 for 9, and his one was just like a straight pull up across half court. He just got tired of missing and figured he'd fire another one up, and he had nothing to lose. I will say though, bonkers on the stat sheet here. Look at this as I put this up. Boise shoots 11 for 37 on threes. They shoot 37 threes. That I don't understand why they took that many threes against Fresno. I don't understand that. That's far too many. Meadow took 10. Andrews took 8. Keene took 4. That's probably, I know he made one, but that's probably 2 or 3 more than Keene should be taken. If Andrews goes 1 for 8 on threes, you shouldn't get to 8, dude. You shouldn't get to 8. Meadow 3 for 10. I mean, that's a couple too many, right? Buchanan 3 for 6. I mean, I guess you allow that because he made 3, but 37 threes, like, come on, that's too many, right? You got a 44 to 30 rebounding edge. That's pretty darn good because Fresno's got some decent size. Gorey at 20 and 11. He's fantastic. He's really good in the mid-range with some runners and floaters and shots that guys with his size and body makeup don't normally take and finish. So he's a very good player. Jack inside had 16. Nice player, too. Points in the paint were even. Neither team turned it over much. They both shoot it the same. It's just that Boise made a ton of threes because they took 20 more threes. Like, that's wild. I'm just not used to seeing that for Boise unless they're playing San Diego State. They seem to like that angle. when they're playing San Jose State. But look, good game by Boise. Take care of business on the road. I don't care who's playing or who's not. It's a road win. So they're going to be in that mix now again. And who knows, right? Like if they run the table, I don't write them off at home against San Diego State. I could be wrong. I've been wrong on several of these thoughts this year, but wouldn't shock me if you do not get a 100% dialed in San Diego State effort on Wednesday. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Let me look here. It is, it's Tuesday. Okay, it is Tuesday in Boise, CBS Network, early, 9 o'clock. So 9 my time Eastern. I'm not saying they're not going to show up, but it wouldn't stun me if you don't get a 100% Aztec effort on Saturday, on Tuesday. All right, I'll expand more on that in about 5 minutes. Okay, so Boise's got a shot there. Now, their last game, as crazy as it sounds, might be more difficult. They go to Moby. Rams have won 7 in a row. Now, again, not exactly feasting on Duke, Kentucky, Arizona and Michigan over that last 7-game stretch, but you won 7 in a row. Plenty of road games in there, several games against good teams. You win 7 in a row. That's pretty darn good, right? To not have a slip up in there. And it's your last game at home. So that is going to be a tough game for Boise. But if they win both, who knows? They could catch Nevada or GCU, right? I would think. I'd have to think about where the tiebreakers fall there because I've kind of been focusing on the top 2 teams where that goes. All right, let me get to the other 2. And speaking of CSU, 85-73 is the final. Now, here's what I just quickly on this one because I didn't see any of it, just read through the box score. I mean, I don't understand. The Rams only take 45 shots from the field. 45 shots. That's not a lot at all. It's barely more than 1 per minute. Normally teams are in the 50s. If you get a lot of offensive rebounds in a high possession game, you might get up to 60. 45 shots. They made 28. They shot 62% from the field, 9 out of 17 from 3. That's pretty efficient, okay? They scored 1.4 points per possession. You can see what I had on the screen there. Miles played 7 guys, 40, 38, 39, and 34 minutes for his 4 horses. Myers fouls out. Couldn't replicate his 34 that he had against Air Force. Garland was the dude tonight, I guess. He had 28. Not only did he have 28, he had 8 assists to go along with that. That's pretty impressive. For the Rams, Muniz, 12 and 10 assists. Now, he did have 5 turnovers, but 36 minutes, 12 points, and 10 assists. Take that, right? Booth, 15 and 5. Butler, 10 and 5. Rex Steiner hit 6 threes and went off for 20. So good job by the Rams. Again, tough closing 2-game stretch for them now. They go to the Pit on, I guess, is it Tuesday? That's the Wednesday game. They go to the Pit Wednesday, and then they host Boise on Saturday to close out the regular season. So it's going to be tough for them to win both. But look, 7 in a row, if they can split those, they'll finish winning 8 out of 9 and, go in and playing with confidence in the conference tournament. All right, the other early one that I didn't see, and I have to talk about this. You guys know I don't talk about the Air Force games a whole lot. They gave us something to talk about today, 66-62, the final from Laramie. And, man, not only was that the final, I didn't watch the game, but you see up there on the right-hand part of the screen right here, 7-0 run to close the game, which means subtract that 7. Air Force led 62-59 with a minute and a half left. So I went through the play-by-play in the second half because I knew that Wyoming was up at the half, and so I just didn't bother following it anymore. Next thing I know, I look at the final, and I was like, whoa. Well, Cam Sanders, he had an out-of-body experience for literally 1 minute. He hit 3 threes in 1 minute to go from down 6 to down 3 to tied to up 3, and Sundance called timeout. And, like I said the other night, I hate to say it like this, but nobody wants to be the team that loses to Air Force here, right? They're 0-18, 0-17 going into this game. You're at home against them. You're a 20-some point favorite in the game. Like it shouldn't be competitive. And all of a sudden, I know you're not on the bubble, but you feel that pressure. And I think they even missed a shot, or maybe they got a bucket, and then it was a 1-point game with like a minute left. And Wyoming got an offensive rebound and a 3-point play from Meyer to go up by 2, and then Air Force missed a couple threes down the stretch. They shot 8 for 18 from 3. Sanders, again, had 16 and 9, so nice, and 5 assists, although 9 of his points literally came in a minute. But still, 16, 9, and 5, good job. Harrico had 14 off the bench for the Cowboys. Dennis, 16. Meyer, 14. Bennett, 3. Walker. I said the other day I thought Walker's been disappointing. 6 points on 2 for 11 shooting, 25 minutes. That's disappointing. It just hasn't worked out in the second half of the season here for Walker. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do here in the last week and then in the conference tournament. But it's not good enough for what was to be expected from Walker. So, but look, credit to Air Force for playing hard these last 2 games. I know they're not playing against Utah State, New Mexico, San Diego State, some of the teams at the top, but had a chance to win down a stretch against San Jose State, had a chance to win down a stretch here against Wyoming. And make no bones about it, they're a bad team. And when you've lost 16 plus games in a row and you're getting your skull thumped every night, it's difficult to lace them up, tie them up tight, and all. I know they're servicemen, but it's not easy to go out there and practice with a good mindset when you're getting drilled night in and night out, and they've come to battle twice in a row. Now, that being said, I think they'll struggle because who do they have? They have Grand Canyon and they have Nevada. Is that correct? I have my other. So they're at Nevada to finish the season, and they host Grand Canyon on Tuesday. So, I mean, I don't know. Could they hang in either of those games? Maybe. I wouldn't expect it, but they could. Okay, so let me get to the obviously the game that many of you are here to pay attention to or to hear me talk about. Way back, seems like it was 2 days ago at this point for how long this day's been for me. But let me get this up here. Very good game. 81-76 is the final. And let me just say this first, right? Because obviously one of the big talking points, and then it's unfortunate, but it is what it is the call at the end of the game, right? And I said, as I was watching it live, I think I was live by that point. The fast forward button is an incredible thing when you record stuff. And, I'm blitzing through the commercials. I'm blitzing through halftime. I pretty much fast forward through all the free throws too. And I caught up right at the end of the game. So I watched like the last minute live, maybe even when that review happened. And I thought to myself, as 99% of us could see, that it was out onto net, right? Like the ball's out onto net, okay? But what I see is that there was no, and you couldn't see anybody from San Diego State touching the ball, okay? So let me make that clear as well. We all know it was a wrong call. Now, I don't blame the official live for missing the call, okay? He may not have had the best angle. There's 3 bodies, 6 arms, big dudes. I don't blame him for that, okay? And on the replay, you don't see anybody from San Diego State touching the ball, okay? You don't. You also do not see like the ball completely being like touched or tipped out by Tenet, all right? Now, some of you may say, well, that's a cop-out. What the hell are you talking about? Like, if you didn't see anybody from San Diego State touch it, it had to be out on Tenet, right? We all know it was out on Tenet, okay? But I have watched, and I'm sure many of you have in here too, I have watched hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of calls in football and basketball, in college sports over the last 10 to 15 to however the hell long they've been doing this replay crap for, whatever, right? I've watched hundreds and hundreds of calls, okay? If I had $1 for every call that should be overturned that is not, I'd have a lot of dollars, okay? I don't know how to finish that analogy, but it happens way, way, way too much. Whether they're gun shy, whether they don't want to I don't know, okay? But it's like you have to have pretty much, I know this isn't what the rule says, but my view on it and how is how I feel like they look at it is they feel like they have to have 100% conclusiveness. Is that the right word? The right tense of conclusive there? to overturn it, okay? And I believe that they probably today had 80 to 90%, okay? And so what it really comes down to for me is this. Any sport, any whatever, I've said it for 2 years now, as long as I've had the pod. I've said it for longer, okay? Get rid of freaking replay. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. I don't give a rat's ass if there's a missed call. Guys miss calls all the time. The same as players miss shots and the same as coaches make bad calls or bad decisions. They're going to miss calls, okay? We don't need robot umpires in baseball. There's something called human error. It's part of the game, okay? It sucks. It's not fair. It sucks. I get it, okay? We don't need replay because all it does is it makes you more infuriated when something like this happens. What is the purpose of having replay then? And going to the freaking monitor for 5 minutes when it's like, well, we're just going to flip a coin anyway, okay? So I wanted to talk about that first. Get rid of, and it'll never happen. It'll never happen. But get rid of replay. Get rid of replay, okay? Now, before I get to the game, a couple other things. One, I've said this, I've had to say this like 3 or 4 times, unfortunately, this year. There is no conspiracy. Stop it. Stop it, okay? Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's like some of you like half kidding, half serious. Stop it. There's no conspiracy. No conspiracy. Stop it. Okay? Aside from that, I fully, as I just said a minute ago, understand that call was wrong. What I also understand is that there was 30 seconds left in the game, and the Aztecs were losing at that point. Okay? Now, did they get robbed of a chance at that point to have a possession to win? They did. But they were losing through 39 and a half minutes, okay? So I don't have quite the sympathy for everybody, they got screwed, and blah, 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 right? You were losing for 99% of the game, okay? So, like, again, like what I've come on here every single time over the last 2 months, anytime we've had a bad call or somebody thinks they got screwed, where's your ownership in this? Where's your ownership? Okay. Why didn't you get more rebounds in the first 19 minutes of the second half? Why did you get outworked? Why did you have no answer for Bouillon? Why was the Lobos defense better than your defense in the second half? Okay. So why didn't you make more free throws? So I get it. That call was bad. Okay. But it's not like you were winning by 1 or 2 or whatever, and they took the ball out of your hands and New Mexico made a shot to beat you. You were losing the game, okay? Fully get that might not make some of you feel better, but I don't quite have the level of, well, because you were losing the game and 99% of it was over, okay? So let's focus on the game and what you didn't do so well, because the Lobos defense was far better than yours in the second half. Maybe not far better, but it was better. They were bothering you. Maybe somebody in here, why all the minutes for Newman today? Why all the minutes for Newman? Neither team turned it over much. And I know Newman hit a 3 late. It was like, he was open for a reason because they don't respect his jump shot. And he had just missed one earlier. I don't get why all the minutes for Newman today. He played, 6 minutes the other night? And it seemed to work fine. Let me throw these up here and look at them. 17 minutes for Newman. I get it. Look, he had 9 points and he did have 5 assists. But man, watching him handle the ball against Albury and Tenet, that was like root canal. Like he was struggling to advance the ball once he got across half court. This was like doing drills that you would do with your high school team. Let's dribble it over and let's protect the ball and turn our back, and then let's pivot and do it the other way. He was struggling to advance the ball. His assists were in open court largely, and he did a fair job there, okay? I don't think he played poor. I just don't know why the need for 17 minutes today. Like, things were fine the other night. I get it. They had a few guys with some foul trouble. I don't know. Now, as far as the fouls too, I get it. The Lobos took 14 more free throws, but the fouls were 23-18. So it's not like this was everything's going to get called on one team and nothing's going to get called on the other. The fouls were 23-18 for the game. Okay. So that's not that much of a disparity. It's not. Okay. Let me get these off of here and then I'll resume. Lobos shoot 39%. They both took over 60 shots. Neither team shot well from the field. Why are the Aztecs shooting 31 threes? You make 9 out of 31. I just don't get that. I mean, if one team would shoot, you'd expect it to be the Lobos, and it wasn't. So credit to them. I mean, they weren't making a lot of twos either. But credit to the Aztec defense, especially in the first half. Wasn't as good in the second half. But why are the Aztecs shooting 31 threes? Guath 0 for 4, Harrington 0 for 4. Harrington 0 for 4 from 3, 5 for 9 from the field, which means he was 5 for 5 shooting twos. So why are we shooting 4 threes there, Elsie, right? Bird, no complaints about Bird today. He was a dude, 17 and 7, 3 for 5 from deep, made a huge 3 late. Reese Waters, not quite a 0 today, but not quite where he needed to be. 5 points, 5 boards, 2 for 8. Ugh. Heidi was okay for what he needed, for what he did. Compton, what was Compton's deal today? 8 minutes, 2 points in 8 minutes. That was a lob dunk. I don't get what happened there with Compton. Simmons was good, 7 and 7. He battled foul trouble. He's a good player. Davis was okay, 11 points. And I have to say this too. Like, what the hell was that possession after aside from the Tenet play where they blew the call, the Lobos got really lucky on the ensuing play when Bouillon just decided to fire one up into the air. I don't know what that was. And just crap luck for New Mexico. Albury catches it. Bird kind of bumps into him. At first, I was like, I didn't like the call live. On replay, you probably have to call it. It's unfortunate because that was like a live free ball. And Albury just got great athleticism, and he beat the Aztecs to the ball. But after he makes those 2 free throws, credit Albury for doing that because he hasn't shot free throws well down the stretch this year. Credit to him for making both. There's 28 seconds left, and I don't know if Dutcher had a timeout or not. I don't think he did because he lost a challenge. But even so, there was a freaking 5-minute challenge, okay? Like, why are you not running through all of your scenarios there? If this, then that. If this, then that. If he makes both, we're down 3. We don't need a 3 because there's 20, 25, 28 seconds left. Attack the rim for a quick 2. What was that? That was a horrible shot. Like, BJ Davis off balance, and he airballs it. And then the game's over. Like, what was that? That's horrible. Horrible. Like, you gotta do better than that. You got to do better than that, okay? As a coach, as a staff, as a veteran team, you got to do better than that. So, I don't know. Like, credit to the Lobos. Tough loss for the Aztecs. Totally get it, right? I'd be frustrated. I'd be disappointed. But again, you got to look inwards. Look at what you could have done better and what you didn't do well. And you shot 13 out of 22 from the line. You missed 9 free throws. And I think most of those were in the second half. Okay. You took too many threes. You got out-rebounded 42-36. You gave up 14 offensive rebounds and 16 second-chance points. Bouillon, who has struggled mightily in the last month, mightily, like Lobo fans calling him out. He's this, he's that. And he hit a wall. I was going to say freshman wall, but we all know he's, like 35, right? He's hit a wall, or whatever you want to say. He lit you up today for 24 and 18. So, like, come on. Like, be upset at the call. Sucks that it happened. I wish it wouldn't have happened like that because it ruined a great game, great atmosphere in the pit, all of that stuff. But, I only want to hear it so much, okay? You can talk about it, but I want to hear you talk about the other stuff too, that you didn't do well, that you could have done better. Because anybody who just comes in with conspiracy theories and talking about that, you lose credibility to me. Okay. I'm not down with that stuff. And it doesn't matter who the calls are for or against. All right. I've said it plenty of times on the other way too. Right. I said San Diego State got robbed when they called that foul down against Grand Canyon. Right. So I'm not anti San Diego State. I'm not pro New Mexico. I would say the same thing if something happened against them or for them or whatever. Okay. I'm telling you, the call was bad. The system is broken. The system is the problem. Maybe they need to get me in the booth. I'll do it for a quarter of what these nitwits are doing it for, right? Okay. Now, let's talk big picture here. First, let's talk at large. We'll go at large because that's fresh in my mind. And then I'll go at large. We'll talk conference race. I'll look at the games for Tuesday/Wednesday, and then I'm going to cycle through the comments. Got plenty in here that I didn't get to, and I appreciate all of you guys sticking with me here with the location shoot. All right, at-large wise, as far as I know, a pretty poor day for bubble teams, okay? Now, San Diego State is largely cooked, okay? I don't see any way they get in unless they win the conference tournament. Now, they certainly can win the conference tournament, and that's why I would not be surprised if they lose up in Boise. The game's not really going to mean much to them, okay? The only thing it's going to mean is being a 3 seed instead of a 2 seed, maybe. I don't know. Could even still be a 2, right? If Utah State beats New Mexico, it probably will be San Diego State 2. The only thing the 2-3 seed matters is who you play in a 6. Who doesn't really matter. But certainly could see San Diego State winning a conference tournament, okay? Could see 5 or 6 teams winning it. I don't know who's going to win it yet, right? But they could win it. But I think they're cooked for an at-large. I really do. All right. Too many losses, not enough good wins. You know, you blame the loss to Baylor. Now, Baylor did win that game tight against UCF, but Baylor's rotten. They're 500. You know, looking back on it, now that's a game you could have won. The Troy game, obviously, right? And there's others too. The Grand Canyon game at home came out flat in the second half. You know, you want to look at the 2 games that the refs took from you, as I saw today. Focus on the games that you blew, right? You lost the game as a huge favorite against Troy, as a huge favorite against Grand Canyon at home. You lost to CSU on the road after you beat them by 20 at home. So, you know, focus on those things. But I think they're pretty much at large or nothing. New Mexico, I'm going to think tomorrow is going to be in most people's fields. All right. Now, what happens if they do what will be expected next week? If they win at home against CSU and lose at Utah State? Well, we'll see. It might come down to their semifinal game in a conference tournament. Also, will come down to things like bid stealers and what other teams on the bubble did today. But I know USC got smoked. They're really in bad shape. UCLA lost. They're probably okay because of Dent. And I mentioned that last week, Dent's heroics against Illinois. But they did lose to Medved in Minnesota. So thanks for that, Nico. Maybe if UCLA has another bad loss and loses early in the Big Ten tournament, who knows? Maybe they'll find themselves in a bubble. Texas A&M's been in a real tailspin lately. They crapped out. Iowa lost to Penn State. They're probably not quite yet there, but it helps. Indiana, I think they play Michigan State tomorrow, so that's a big game. Who else lost? Virginia Tech got beat by North Carolina. Auburn lost to Ole Miss. I think Auburn's goose is pretty much cooked. Cal lost to Pitt. So a lot of these teams that were in that last 4 in, first 4 out, not going well for them. Seton Hall lost to Connecticut. They had a lead late, blew that game. Would have been a huge win for them. So I think that like the bubble fell well for New Mexico today, okay? As long as they would win on Tuesday or Wednesday, I said, then we'll see, okay? Would have worked for whoever won today, for San Diego State too, and it didn't seem to. But anyway, so that's at-large style. Now, as far as the conference goes, clearly now we have Utah State with a 1-game lead outright, all right? They will be favored in their last 2 games. Neither of them will be easy. If they win both, they win the outright title. Very simple, okay? If they lose one, and you would have to assume at this point they get at least one of them, they will win at least a share of the title, okay? And again, tiebreakers be damned. If both teams finish with a winning record, they both can claim the title. Okay. Now, who would get the 1 seed? I guess at that point, I mean, if New Mexico's the 3 seed, it would. I mean, I guess it depends on what happened. It depends on if Utah State loses New Mexico, right? Because then they'd all have split with each other. They all beat each other once and they all lost once. So then it would come down to like who's 4th, and that probably would be Nevada, which then San Diego State would win the 1 seed because Utah State lost to Nevada and New Mexico lost to Nevada. So those teams, or for San Diego State, is rooting. If you're an Aztec fan, you should root for Nevada to beat Wyoming, and you need UNLV, I guess, to beat Utah State. But even if the Lobos do, and they all finish with 5 losses, then San Diego State would win the 1 seed. I guess at that point you're happy because you claim a share of the title. So we could have a 3-way tie at 15-5, but it's going to require an upset in the Spectrum next Saturday too. All right, so I don't know. Beyond that, let me look over tonight / tomorrow. You know, my head's spinning right now. And so I'll kind of break the other stuff down. Maybe I can even write things out. I got a lot of know the stuff at the top of my head. I don't know the rest of them. All right, quickly. Tuesday, Grand Canyon Air Force. Already talked about that. Don't need to anymore, clearly. San Jose State at Fresno. Don't need to talk about that. San Diego State at Boise. I mentioned there. Listen, I think it's going to be difficult for the Aztecs to get up off the mat there, okay? I just do. You know, they had their at-large hope shattered. They feel like they played well today, and they did play well. You know, call cost them, but they did some other things that they know that cost them as well. And I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong, and maybe they still feel like they can get a share of the title. So maybe I don't know. But I think you get a really good effort from Boise in that game. I do. So I think you're going to get close to a toss-up pick-em game there. Ken Palm, Vegas spreads, all that stuff. So I'm not going to be surprised if Boise wins there. Nevada at Wyoming, talked about that one plenty. Like, look, that's going to be close to a pick-em too. It is. Utah State at UNLV, revenge game. I mean, that only goes so far, right? It went well in the first half tonight because the Aggies were ready to play. It didn't carry as much weight in half number 2 when GCU buckled down and out-executed the Aggies. And UNLV's already proved they can beat them. So do you want to bet against Gibbs Allhorn at this point? Like, I certainly don't. I mean, what's this? You know, why not? He can go for 34 in that game. Of course he can. I mean, do I think Utah State will win? I do. Do I think the crowd will be the same on Tuesday as it was tonight? Of course not. So I don't know. Obviously, I favor Utah State, but we'll see. And then Wednesday, we have Colorado State at New Mexico. And, you know, at the Pit, last game, I'm assuming, yeah, because they're at Utah State. Last home game of the year, unless they like crap out and make the NIT and get a home game, but that's not what their fans are counting on. So last home game in the Pit. Obviously not a whole lot of seniors to recognize and none of that stuff, program guys, but it's still like the last home game. So I would expect the fans to be out in full throat, especially on top of this win today. So, you know, Rams are hot, 7 in a row. It's going to be tough for them to win this game on the road, clearly. Okay, so that's that. All right, let me cycle through because I'm sure there's plenty of comments. About an hour and 8. I want to get out of here in the next 10 minutes. Maybe they haven't come in. I haven't made too much noise in this business center, so appreciate their hospitality. Let's see what else I can say. See on here. Jer says, yeah, I mean, we heard plenty of Aztec fans on Twitter complain about the officials. Bad calls against the Lobos throughout the game. Yeah, I mean, look, the calls over the course of a game, they're usually bad. I mean, and they normally even out. It's just the fact that this one came at the very end of the game today, right? It's unfortunate, right? I mean, it's magnified at the end. It's unfortunate, but that's just what happens, right? All right, what else do we have here? Okay, that's right. Already talked about that. Won't mention that one. Talked about that. Let's see. All right, let me get to some of these here that I hadn't gotten to yet. Okay. Lobo Dave. New Mexico beat CSU. Head to Logan for a chance to win the Mountain West Conference regular season title. Aggies have to travel to – yeah, wow. I mean, look, it doesn't matter. Even if Utah State wins that game, you can still – I mean, if you're hoping for an outright title, that's going to be pretty difficult to achieve. But, I mean, you can hope, and it's possible. It's possible. What else do we got on here? Spectrum lifted Utah State, elite atmosphere. Yeah, it was pretty loud. They certainly were on it, no doubt. Yeah, and then you did fix it 6, Spectrum, no doubt. Oh, that's right. It was against Nevada. I forgot, Braden, who it was. It was Robinson for Nevada who got tangled up with Falslev. So yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I did say I love Templin for what he is. If you're a Utah State fan, you love Templin. I mean, he does the dirty work for you. See, and it's 6, a Boise guy. He said, I'll give Templin credit. He's a banger. Look, he's not the most skilled guy out there, and Spencer said it. Everybody loves Templin. I mean, he gives you, if you're Calhoun, you bet your butt you love him. I mean, for crying out loud, he does what a lot of guys don't want to do anymore: take charges, get on the floor, take a hard foul. Timothy, I don't know. I think the Spectrum can match you for noise. I think. GCU couldn't hit a 3 in the last 4 minutes of the game. Several wide open looks. Should have kept attacking the basket. Yeah, Henley did at times, but I mean, it's just one of those things is when it's a mental thing. Like when you're down by more than 3 or more, most guys have the mentality that they got to get it back with a 3, and it's not that way. But people think like that. It just is what it is, and I wish it wasn't because it's like the San Diego State game. The defense doesn't want to foul, or the officials will call a foul. So you stop the clock and go to the line, or you get a free 2, nearly free 2. And it's like, how many times do you see that across the country? Like when you watch other games all the time. What's the first team going to look like, Dallin? Falslev and Gibbs, Lawhorn are locks. Collins and Henley have a good shot as well. I don't know so much about Collins, Dallin. I mean, he clearly would be second team if he's not on the first team. So Garland, Camper, Hydrator, Fielder. I don't know. You Camper as a game like tonight, that doesn't help his cause. The San Diego State guys are puzzling. Who do you put on from there? Like, are people going to vote? Jeff and I talked about it the other night. Are people going to vote for Jake Hall as a freshman? Refs were tight in the Boise game. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I didn't notice it. Maybe I was kind of half paying attention. But no, I try, Don. I try. I don't know. Sometimes it works. What happened there, Vinny, when he not pulling Tyron from the game late when he got fouled and missed 2? Missed 2 free throws. Oh, you mean when they were shooting free throws? Yeah, I don't think he had a lot of options. I mean, who else was he going to go to? He obviously was Stephan not available, or was he in the doghouse, or what? I mean, he can't make free throws either. So sick. You'd rather play the good teams twice as opposed to having an easy schedule. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, what do you prefer? Do you want to have an easy route to winning a conference title, or do you want to beef up your RPI or your net? Not RPI, your net, your strength of schedule, all that stuff. Buchanan was a dude inside tonight. Yes, he was tough because Fresno is a decent inside presence, and Buchanan was a beast tonight. So Fresno was allowing the 3. Yeah, I don't get why that was. Well, Peanut got hurt the other night, Larry, so he got carted off in the midweek. He was he only played 9 minutes in that game. He didn't score at all. He got banged up. What are the tiers for the tournament as of tonight? Favorite, contenders, dark horses, wannabes, pretenders, and Air Force. Yeah. Aside from Air Force, how would you break down the tiers? I mean, San Jose State and Fresno, I guess, are in the same tier as like they could win one game if they get hot. But again, that's against like a 6 or 7 seed. Like they don't have the potential to beat one of the top 4 teams. And then you got your tier. I hate to say it because we love Sundance, but Wyoming is probably close to that tier for me. I mean, they really are. I might actually give like one of those teams more of a chance than Wyoming. They just don't have the firepower. Like Air Force has been giving up 80 points a game, like it's like they're playing 4 guys out there defensively, and Wyoming scored 66 tonight. I mean, yee. Like literally, Air Force's defense has been horrible, especially since the interim coach has taken over. Not that they don't care, but they're not digging in defensively. And Wyoming scored 66 tonight. They shot 30-some%. So I just don't see it. I mean, they might be able to grind a game out with Sundance pulling some. I don't know, in the 8-9 game or 7-10 game. But man, I struggle to see them getting a win in the quarterfinals. I just don't see it. Now, beyond that, you have Boise, CSU, and UNLV, and UNLV I don't know. Like, how do you put any one of those teams ahead of the other two? UNLV has the best player. Boise has the coach who's proven that he can get it done here. No offense to the other two, but they're both first-year guys in this conference. Ali, it's his first year total ever as a head coach. And Pastner, I mean, he has not had the most success either as a head coach. He did get Georgia Tech to the tournament once, but I mean, once he's been and Memphis a couple times. But, I just don't think Boise's got the best coach of the 3. CSU, they've been playing the best. I can't argue with that. They've won 7 in a row. As I said, if they split their last 2, they're 8 of their last 9. So hard to argue with that. I mean, those teams could definitely win 2 games. They could win a quarterfinal game, 100%. Can they win a semifinal and beat a second good team in a row? That's asking a lot. Nevada and GCU, very similar teams. I've said it all year. I would not have thought a few weeks ago that they could get to the final. And I've said plenty of times, I'm sure if Nevada fans are in here are sick of me saying it, Alford has not had a lot of success in his tournament. But who knows, right? Like, who knows? I guess I probably trust GCU a little bit more than them. And then the top 3, I mean, something tells me, again, and I've said this all along, although it will be different, like if they tie. But I'm going to assume, and maybe I'm wrong, foolish to do this because we know how stuff happens in this conference. But if Utah State wins their last 2 games and they win the outright title, I don't think they will win the conference tournament. That's not a knock on them. It's just difficult to do that. They'll be coming off of that freaking high at home in the Spectrum on senior night, huge crowd, beat the Lobos, finish 16-4 if they beat UNLV, and win the outright title. I just don't see them backing up 5 days later against 3 good teams 3 days in a row when you have a handful of desperate teams coming after you. Okay? Maybe I'm wrong, but I would fancy somebody else. Probably San Diego State. Probably. But we know both San Diego State and New Mexico will travel incredibly well to the Thomas and Mack. So we'll see. 6 says out. Peanut rolled his ankle last game. Yes. Fly, definitely. Bouillon was a beast. 24-18. Ridiculous numbers. Yeah, I guess Sanders could help. I mean, he's only a freshman, so I'm sure somebody will come after him. I don't know that he would be an all-conference guard, but he could be a serviceable guard. Thanks, Devo. Not enough angles for yeah, that's the tough thing. Exactly. Not enough angles, unfortunately. Yeah, of course the monitor ruins it, Devo. I hate it. That's why I said just go back to the way it was when I was a kid, right? You miss calls. It happens. This is worse. It drags the game on, and you don't even get it right half the time, okay? It's stupid. It drives me nuts. But because we're incapable of going backwards, they'll never get rid of it. Don says we need better. Yeah, well, Don, how if you come up with a system that like if you put a chip in the ball or something that does it and gets it right, foolproof 100% of the time, like within 30 seconds, fine. But in its current format, it's garbage. It's garbage. And I will never change my tune on that. I've said it for years in football, in baseball, in basketball, whatever it is. Okay? It's the same, and I've said this before. It's the same as like in baseball when the old double play with the second baseman coming around the bag on a double play. For decades, umpires never cared to look. Not that they didn't care. They allowed the guy to basically, or the shortstop coming across the bag, to never really be on the bag when he took the throw and then to complete the double play. And it was accepted that that's just the way it happens, okay? But now you can't do that because you got replay and you have to do it properly. Well, they did it because they didn't want guys barreling into the shortstop or second baseman and taking them out to injure them. Well, now you got to do it because we have replay, and if you slide your foot and you don't touch the bag, then the guy's safe. It's nonsense, okay? And the same thing in basketball. When there's a foul because the guy goes over the back on a rebound and they don't want to call the foul, so they just give it to the team. Can't do that anymore because then you go to the monitor and you have to give it to the other team and you can't retroactively call foul. So you want to know why they call all these fouls? Because of crap like that. Because of stupid crap like that. They used to be like, well, it's out on A and it should be B's ball, but A fouled B. And so we're not going to give the ball to them because he fouled them, and he knows it, so he's really not going to argue. Because if he says anything, I'm going to say to him, dude, you fouled them. Run down the floor. We're giving them the ball. But now you can't do that. And it drives me nuts. Okay? Larry has reputable Aztec sources blaming. Yeah, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Absolute. They need to follow something else other than sports. I've said this how many times this year on how many shows. Maybe if I'm bored in the summer, I'll go back and watch all of my shows and do a bingo card of all the things that I've said countless times. Maybe a joke or two about Pastner, maybe a joke or two about Air Force, maybe a joke or two about conspiracy theories, some of the other things that I repeat that you guys probably laugh at that I've said 20 times. I don't know. But yeah, absolute nonsense, okay? Grow up. It's not whatever, okay? Yeah, I get it. Listen, I understand I'm on an island with certain things. I get that. Which one, Timothy? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I think it was a sabotage. Yeah, we know it was a bad call. Everybody knows it was a bad call. They said it touched Tay's jersey. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, there's no point in arguing now. We all know it was a bad call. Fly thinks there were bad calls against the Lobos. Charge call against Bouillon in the first half was whack. Replay clearly showed he was set. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in they would have been better off shooting many less threes. Timothy thinks that they shot that many because I will say that again, New Mexico's ball pressure and their on-ball defense in the second half was absolutely on point. Top notch, 100%. Okay. Oh, they did upgrade that one. That was a weird call when they upgraded that. I didn't think that was necessary, but whatever. Bad call at a crucial part of the comeback. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, right. Yeah, I get it, Dubs. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's fine. Don, let's come up with a formula or some type of thing that gets it right immediately. Drake and Falslev and Bouillon, they're in the 35 and under league, the adult league that I used to play in. Okay, let's see. Utah State should be a lock. Yeah, I as long as they don't go 0-2 here down a stretch, they'll get in. Good night, Steinbauer, although that's 15 minutes ago. I'm way behind here. Yeah, Vinny, Auburn lost. They're 15 and 14. If they make the tournament, it's a joke. I don't know. I know they play Alabama once next week. I don't know who their other game is. But, at 15 and 14, they'll lose again in the conference tournament. That gives them 15 losses. I mean, that's absurd. Yeah, listen, here's the thing about that, Fly. People complain about stuff when you're upset. Everybody does it. And it's not, that's one of the instances of you hate the player, not the game. Or what's the saying there? Whatever it is, you know what I'm trying to say. It's the system. Complain about the system. It's not New Mexico's fault for taking Bouillon. There's plenty of other teams that have guys that are that age or whatever. It is what it is. That's the system that we've set up and created. That's why it's not college sports anymore. Okay, these guys haven't gone to class for years on a serious basis. I'm sorry to say. Okay, and that's why I don't care about any of the look at who's playing in what conference now. It's a joke, right? It's basically minor league sports. Okay, so that's why we should have things like relegation. Okay, but anyway, yeah, Dutcher should find some European guys. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Boise needs a 6 seed to avoid Utah State and Grand Canyon. Another night in the Mountain West. Absolutely. Well, plenty of bad calls in that game. I agree, Mike. Plenty of bad calls in that game. I did forget about that, Chubb. Albury's homecoming. I'm sure the herd and the fans in the Spectrum will be oh, I see what you're saying, Sick. It was a compliment. The refs were, yeah, I thought they were good. I didn't think there was too much going on in that game. So the guy said that the Pit is the loudest venue. That surprises me. Maybe it has something to do with the aesthetics or something there, or what's the word? The acoustics, I guess. The acoustics. You want to beat the best at their best. Well, good. I appreciate you saying that, Sick. Not everybody wants that. I appreciate that. Isaac Williamson was an option. Showed he can make clutch free throws. Yeah, he just didn't get a lot of run tonight. Passers seemed to bag him. Yeah, absolutely. They were fortunate to get by, and Collins hit the big shot. No doubt about it. Yeah, that's the same thing, Sick. Let's improve it. Lobo fan, the reason they won, yeah, Aztecs missed their free throws. Absolutely. Every close game turning into a ref debate, watch any league. Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, no doubt, Fields. Absolutely correct, right? You could dissect calls in every game. Sick, you're probably right. 2-bid conference. Should be 3. No more sub 500 at large. Yeah, we're not going to get 3. Yeah, I would love relegation. Let's do something like that. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, Europe does some things right over there. So, I mean, look, how would we get 3? We would get 3 this way. New Mexico winning out, Utah State winning out, although they play each other. So, Utah State winning against UNLV, New Mexico winning out. So they're both at-larges, and then San Diego State winning the conference tournament. Okay, that would probably get all 3 of our teams in. But they'd probably send New Mexico to Dayton at that point. But whatever. So anyway, okay. I've been at this for an hour and a half. It's 2:35 here. I'm still in this business center. Probably going to come and toss me out of here in a few minutes, the janitor or something. So if you're still with me here, the old Sun Cruiser, okay, give it a look, give it a taste, give it a swirl. And then at the bottom, subscribe here at Mountain West BNN. At Mountain West BNN. Albury, he was 0 for 10 tonight. Yeah, seemed like 4 for 10 because Bouillon got a bunch of them and put them back in. No doubt about it. Cheers to you, Fields Report. Thank you for being here. All my Lobo fans that are in here 12 hours after your game. So, Roddy, I would say unfortunately it's trending the wrong way for that. So we'll have an update on that in a few days, probably Tuesday. Yeah, no problem, Sick. So let's not get into it further, but I'll update you guys in the midweek on that. Obviously, we're getting close to destination time for that. So I know, Roddy. Nothing else to be said about it. Okay. Heck of a day. Heck of a weekend. It was the whole day. No games last night. So 1 week left. We got Tuesday and Wednesday shows next week. And then we'll head up to the weekend as we get closer to the conference tournament. So I guess the only task tomorrow then is to root maybe Ohio State, but certainly rooting against Indiana. So now that I'm talking about it, I'm sure they'll beat Michigan State. Michigan State just came off a nice win. Thursday night, maybe it was last Thursday night against Purdue. So I'm sure they'll lose tomorrow to Indiana, who's been horrible, just to get Indiana in the tournament. Because if Indiana loses that game, they might be cooked. So that would be nice to keep them out, help our teams out a little bit. So we got a couple days off. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I need to get some rest. It's 12:30 for you guys in a mountain time zone, 11:30 if anybody's out west. You guys enjoy your rest as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking it out all night. And come back Tuesday, 5-game card Tuesday night, last midweek big slate of the year. Let's enjoy what we got coming up here in as really the Mountain West as we know it winds down. So see you guys soon on another night in the Mountain West. See ya.
Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at CircaLasVegas.com.